You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining. And it's so amazing to see a lot of passionate people on the call, even before 7. I think that is a beautiful one. That is a beautiful one. Yeah, before we dive in, it's Mothering Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to our beautiful, amazing mothers out there. We are so glad to have you in our midst. We are glad to honor and celebrate you every day because of the amazing and fantastic things that you are doing out there. However, before we start, let's quickly look at our housekeeping rules. So I would like to know where you are joining from. Where are you joining from? Please, can you introduce yourself in the chat box? Let me know where you are joining from. I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Where are you joining from? I would love to see that in the chat box. Where are you joining from? I hope you can hear me. Okay, so I see iPhone from Ibadan, Uganda, Kwara. Please, let's get it coming. South Africa, Lara, you're welcome. Benin Republic. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, let's keep it coming. We are 14 now. We are going to 300, please. Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you, Elizabeth, for joining. We are so, so glad to have you here with us on the call. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining. Thank you. Okay, so as we still continue expecting, okay, so Samuel from Lagos, as we expect more people, Algeria, Julita from Namibia, D from Lagos, Taye from Ondo. Yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. As we expect more people to join us, Kosi, welcome from Owerri. Yeah. If you have any questions in the course of the session, just feel free to just use the chat box to type in your question. Please go ahead and do that. Favor, thank you so much for joining from Asaba. Buki, thank you for joining. We are so glad, 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 glad. Oh, Lubumi from Mota, thank you so much for joining. You're in the right place. Okikiola from Lagos, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so we will just continue right about now. You can still continue using the chat box. We are 55 and we are going to 300. Yes. So let's keep it. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Mark Nell from Malawi. Feyi from Ikesa. Okay. Luesa from Yola. Thank you for joining. All right. So I want us to quickly do something. Can you just use your favorite chart to describe your parenting right now? Your parenting in one emoji. Let me see what it looks like. Parenting in one emoji. What does it look like for you? All right. Love. Oh, somebody is laughing. Bukola. Oh, all right. So please, let's keep it coming in. Let's keep it coming in. Yes, let's keep it coming in. Parenting in one emoji. Let's keep it coming in. All right, welcome, Chantel from South Africa. Okay, so I'm expecting more emojis from us. And right now, it's so interesting where we are as parents. It is no longer business as usual. It's no longer try and error. You just have to get it right. you know you just have to get it right. That is just what you need to do right now. And I seem so excited with the feedback I saw earlier on. Tested and trusted for people across the world that has tested and tried. So it's not like, oh, somebody is just cooking up something for you. So this coaching knowledge, these coaching tools, these techniques are tested and trusted. And I think it's just the right time to also bring in a live testimonial. Someone that, so let's assume the previous one was recorded. Now we want to bring in someone live that would share with you our experience, our testimonial of how the coaching program has been like for her. Yes. Can we have it, admin? Do we have her on board? All right. So in the absence of having our live testimonial, so I want us to just keep at
I'm
it.
here.
And oh, okay, all right, please go on.
I'm here. Okay. Sorry. All right. Can everybody hear me? Good evening, everyone.
Doctor, please go on. Yes, I
All
can
right.
hear you. Thank
Good
you.
evening, everyone. My name is Oluwadaisi Temitope. I am one of the candidates that did this program last year, and I'm so glad for that. Yes. You know, my when I enrolled for this particular program, my expectation was that let me just learn how to train my children at the same time learn how to train other parents to do the same. Yes, and I achieved that. But more than beyond my expectation, yeah, beyond my expectation, I got to realize that parenting is about me, not about my child. I get to realize that you before you can't give out what you don't have, you know. And if you want to parent your child, you need to parent yourself first. So, and whatever result you want to see in the life of your child, you need to model it. Because most of the time, your child will not listen to you, but they will do what you do. They will not do what you say, but they will sure do what you do. So it's an amazing time. It was an amazing time for me. And there's a particular module in this program that actually transformed everything for me, as an adult, when you are growing up and you look back and look at what your parents did to you, feel like, come on now, my parents did not do it. And you feel like, it was during this program I was able to identify that as a wound that I've been carrying for a very long time, and I've been using it to parent my children. It has been affecting the way I was parenting them then. So I was able to identify it as a wound, and I was able to identify what triggers it. And I was able to do what? To control it. And professionally, they are top notch. They are going to teach you in a way that you'll be able to train other parents all over the world, wherever they are coming from, you know. So this is me telling you that you should get yourself into the cohort, register, and I'm so sure you'll be glad that you did. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Temitope, thank you so, so much for that.
Yes,
Thank you so, so much for sharing with us. We are so, so glad to have you live with us. And I also have my own experience. I have my story to share um, with all of this. I have my own story to share, but let's leave that for now. Let's leave that for now. It's not business as usual. Interestingly, a number of us grew up with adverse childhood experiences. We some are aware, a lot more are not aware. So we have a lot of wounded adults going out here and there. And recently, okay, so let me just share my one story. My mom did her birthday. Yeah, we are saying March. She did her birthday in March, and I struggled to even say I love you to her, you know. And it dawned on me that I had not even completely healed, at that point. So I was trying to compose a message to her, and that I love you it was heavy. So I had to go back to the things that I've been taught to say, no, now we are no longer here. We have healed, and I had to practice some of the things that I learned. Sometimes you think you have totally healed until a trigger shows up. And there you know that, oh no, I have to do something about it. And after then, I was just so conscious about pouring out love to her unconditionally. She did what she did because that was the information she had at that point in time, So, dear parent, like I said, it is not business as usual because unconsciously you are going to pass it on. 20 years from now, where will you be? So don't let me take over the role of the guest speaker. Let me allow the guest speaker to share because I have a whole lot to say. So if your hands are not busy, you're going to join me as I bring on board our beautiful guest speaker for today. She's just so beautiful. Yes, she's so beautiful. Her name is Adesola. Look at the smiles. I don't know if it's just you that I can see it from here, and I'm sure we can all see a beautiful smile. So who is Adesola Bayomisho? She's the director. She's also the lead practitioner at the DC Place, UK. She's a certified family system engineering practitioner, NLP certified. She is a master trainer. I am sure you will tell me at the end of this program that I said, so I'm warning you, if you have not fastened your seatbelt, go and, when they were giving the testimony, they were shouting her name. They were shouting her name. We just want to give you a tips of what those people experienced. And she's also a public speaker. Without further ado, please let's welcome her with our favorite emoji. Thank you so much, ma.
Thank you, Super. Oh, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome and the compliments. You're very good for my self-esteem, so thank you. And happy Mother's Day to you too. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms on the call. Thank you so much. I'm seeing the love. I'm feeling the love in the chat. Thank you all so much. It is amazing to be here. It's amazing to have been asked to do this. I get a lot of joy talking about parenting, supporting parents. And today we're taking it a step further. We're positioning you to support parents. All right. That is the goal that we're here to achieve. And it's always exciting. To every parent in the room, thank you for your service. Thank you for your thankless work. It's mostly thankless because sometimes you're there, you're working hard, you're sweating, and it's as though these children don't know what you're going through. And bearing in mind that you're not just a parent, you're so many things to so many people. You're a mom and a dad, of course, you're a teacher, you're a business person, you're a business owner, you're an employee, you're a neighbor, you're a an offspring, a child yourself, you're an aunt, you're an uncle. Our lives are so multifaceted. But I dare say that one of the most important things that we will ever do is to successfully parent. Because as a parent, what you do or don't do impacts society. It impacts the world as we know it. We describe the family as the production unit of society. All right. So if parents are doing what they're supposed to be doing, then society will continue to get better. But if parents don't know what they're doing and they don't know and they're not doing it, if they do know and they're not doing it, there's still a problem. And the world as we know it will cease to exist. And that is the real danger. That is the real risk. And it's a clear and present one. The world has evolved from when I was a child to what we're experiencing today. There are things that are happening today that 20, 40 years ago were unheard of. There are things that are normal today that before they were considered mental illnesses. And people were strapped for even daring to suggest certain things. But today it's mainstream. You're walking down the road and you're like, is everything all right at home? It's just the world that we live in. And that's why you have been chosen for this assignment. And I hope that you will be willing to take up that assignment and salvage the world, literally save the world from self-destructing. If you are following the news in different parts of the world, weird things are happening. Okay. And we always say that every generation has its own challenges, but the challenges of this generation they are enormous. All right. And the young people who have to exist in this time and age, they are struggling, and as they should, because it's really, really confusing. But you are there and you are here to learn how to support their parents to help those children become the best version of themselves. And perhaps we can steady the tide of the decay, as it were, and we can raise a new set of ancestors, a new set of saviors who will rescue the world. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen now so that we can jump into the meat of the conversation that we have today. All right, if you can see my screen, please let me know. Yes, you can. All right. Thank you, Super O. You're nodding. Much appreciated. All right. So this is the Parenting Coaching Accelerator program. All right. It is a parenting coaching system that IFED has designed. IFED is the Institute for Family Engineering and Development. It is something that they have poured their hearts and their souls into. This organization is led by the amazing and outstanding, my mentor, very proud to call him my mentor, Praise Fowe. And this is part of the work that he has done for the most part of his adult life, to be honest. It is born out of research, it's born out of a real concern for this current day. And you are privileged, all right? Bear it in mind, you are privileged to have access to this kind of training. And like the person who gave the testimonial earlier said, it is everything that you need. It is everything that you need and more. Something that I know Prince Forward prides himself in is delivering higher use value than you pay for. So don't think about, oh, okay, I've paid so much. Am I going to get value? You can be sure. Okay, I can guarantee that you're going to get a lot more value for when you in an equivalent manner to the amount or the resource that this is going to take out of you. And it's not just the money it will take out of you. It will take effort. It will take your time. But know that you're doing it to rescue the future. So at the end of the class today, you would have gained three things. Number one, you'd have gained clarity about the problems that parents are having today, the contemporary issues that parents who are parenting today have to grapple with. Then you will discover why parenting coaches are now a major need. And finally, you would learn practical steps to becoming an exceptional parenting coach. Now, if you haven't already, please situate yourself in a quiet area, no distractions. If the door is literally, my son just knocked on the door, and I've put myself in a quiet area, but they still came to look for me. So if you're in a place where somebody can still come and look for you, then you want to make sure they cannot get into the room, because we need your attention completely here. If you have devices that are on, please switch them off or put them on mute, not even vibrate, because they shake the table, don't they? So on mute, so that we can have your full attention. You might also want to grab a drink so that you have something to sip, so that you don't at some point decide, oh, I need a glass of water. Okay, and I'm going to just go into my own personal story just to give you a bit of time to do that. And if you haven't already, please change your name on Zoom, your display name, to your name, and include a title if you'd like me to address you by your title. If your name is there, I'm going to address you in that manner. Okay, so if you don't want to be called by your first name or your surname, please make that adjustment, all right? So that when I want to interact with you, I have the correct name to address you by, all right? So a bit of my story as a parenting coach. I've been doing this for close to 10 years now, both formally and informally. And when I took the FSE program, the Family Systems Engineering program, at the Institute at IFED, everything broke wide open. And like, again, the testimonial said, I thought I had things figured out. And Super O mentioned something similar. I thought I was in the right headspace. I had a challenging parenting myself, and I've come to the understanding that people do the most they can or the best they can with what they know. So it's not to castigate my parents, but I need to acknowledge that there was damage done. Right. And even though I'd gone through therapy, I thought it was all sorted. And then I took that course, and it was like, I am still quite far from where I want to be. And as Super O said, triggers still happen. That I then need to recollect things that I've learned, things that I teach. In fact, I then need to ask myself, look, what are you supposed to do now? This is what your default appears to be, but can you go upstairs? That's my upstairs brain, literally, and then make a different decision rather than acting on impulse and just, going off on a tangent because I have been triggered. And that is what that trauma has done to me and still does, because every now and again I find myself bringing myself back to, status quo, centering myself, right? The instances are fewer and far between because I'm getting better, but I'm still letting you know that the things that my parents did and didn't do when I was a child still affect me up until this day. Because of that history, I tried to find my way. And I said to myself, look, I'm not going to be the kind of parent that my parents were. I was going to do something better. I didn't know what it was, but I was determined to seek out information. And then I went on that journey. And as I began to learn, began to apply the things that I had learned, it made sense to then teach because I had been taught. The things I had learned, it then made sense for me to start passing it on to other people. And that's how I became my parenting coach. It's always been my niche. My skill set is quite varied, but that is where my heart is. And I think it's the fact that I realized the impact of what parents are doing or what they're not doing, the impact it has on the larger society, on humanity. Okay, so that's a bit of my history. That's a bit of my story. I still coach parents when I'm able to fix them into my diary, but I find joy in having opportunities like this where I'm able to support parenting coaches to then pour out themselves into supporting parents, because I'm able to reach how many of us are here? 50, 60 of us. Imagine if all of you then went out and then began to support parents. So I'm able to reach more parents this way. I still enjoy the one-to-one with parents, but I also find fulfillment in spaces like this as well. The greatest battle in the world is the battle of parenting. If you agree with me, I want you to put yes in the chat. If you don't, ask me why. Please go to the chat now. If you agree with me, put yes in the chat. If you don't, ask me why. Why is the greatest? Okay, I'm seeing loads of yeses. All right, we're on the same page. We are on the same page, and this is making my work a lot easier. Well, okay, there's a why. Fantastic. I'm going to tell you. All right, there are two whys. Parenting now is war. Somebody's answering that question. Parenting now is war. And I did allude to it when I started off, when I explained that there are complications in living and existing in an age such as we are in now. There are severe complications, and the young people, the children who we have been given the responsibility to look after, depend on us as parents, and they depend on you. Those parents depend on you as parenting coaches because of the confusion. Like I said, we're going to look at the challenges we're going to drill down into the challenges parents are facing today. But that is the most important battle. That's the hugest battle, is the battle of parenting. The fact that a parent has proximity with a child, and we say that the parenting curriculum is 18 years. Right? If you take a 4 or 5 year old child and you hand them to a half decent terrorist cell, you can be sure that in the space of 10, 15 years, by the time that child is turning 17, 18, you're going to have a proper terrorist who is willing to walk into a building with a backpack full of explosives and kill people that he did not even know, let alone, be able to say they offended him or her in any way, shape, or form. All right. But we are finding parents having that same proximity that a terrorist cell would have to the child. And I've not been around terrorists before, thankfully, but I don't think they're very nice. I don't think they're nice. I don't think they're gentle. I don't think they're kind. I don't think they say nice things, right? But they still manage to infuse their beliefs into those children. Now, parents have this same proximity. These ones even depend on you for food, right? The children depend on you for sustenance. You are interacting with them on a daily basis, right? And parents are still managing not to get those children to where they want to be. Where is the gap? Why is it such a challenge? It is because of the world that we are living in now. All right. Thank you. I'm seeing messages in the chat. Let's keep it going. Yeah. It is because of the world that we're living in now. When I was young, it was harder to come across certain types of information. And when I talk about certain types of information, I'm referring to, say, maybe sexually explicit material. It was challenging. I mean, the work that you would do, who would you even ask if it didn't even fall in your laps? Obviously, you didn't have any idea that it exists, right? And then you come across it one day and perhaps you wanted it again. Who do you go to say, look, do you have a certain kind of video or a certain kind of explicit material that I can watch? And then think of how technology was back in the day. If you put a DVD or a CD in your video player, right? And I grew up in Nigeria. I don't know about you, but we didn't have 24 hours power supply. If electricity went off, right? If the network or the electricity provider took power supply and it went off, that thing was trapped in the machine. And the next person who would watch it is most likely not you, because power supply usually came back late at night, right? So your parents will know, and all of these things. Another example is, let's say you made a bad judgment call, talking about when I was young, and you were in a place where you were not supposed to be. Your neighbors are keeping an eye on you. The folks at church are keeping an eye on you. And God help you if they spot you in an inappropriate area. And then they mentioned it to your parents. You were done for. So it was challenging to even access poor choices. It was challenging to access illicit material, to do things that were wrong. You did it for only so long before you were caught. The children that are growing up today don't need to look for those things. Those things look for them. It is so bad that if a child was trying to search up something, perhaps they had a device in their hands and they tried to search up something and they found themselves in an inappropriate website, right? It is so bad that because of technology and the study of consumer behavior, trying to ensure that the things that you're interested in are constantly being fed to you, that website will continue to suggest that kind of material to the child. The search engine will continue to suggest that type of material to the child. So the initial contact was a mistake. Subsequent contact is now targeted. That is the age that children are growing up in. All right. Now, let's even say your child is protected. You've not put a device in their hands yet, and they don't have exposure to all of these things. They go to school. They come in contact with children who are not as sheltered, who are not as protected. Your child is still exposed. All right. So it is complication on complication on complication. And that is why there is a strong battle for the soul of children. It's always existed. It's only gone to a new level now. The internet is a fantastic tool. AI is a fantastic tool, but it is still a tool, which means in the hand of somebody who does not mean well, it can be used to do just about anything. The future of the world is at stake. And that is another reason why that is the greatest battle in the world. What a parent does within the confines of their home can affect generations. And we will see a few examples as we move along. All right. Who is a parent? Who is a parent? The ultimate parent is a skilled systems owner that is able to spot the identity of the arrow in his quiver and intentionally, one, groom and shoot the arrow in the direction of a predetermined target in a way that the arrow consistently solves the problem it was designed to solve in service to God and humanity. That is a mouthful. So I'm going to pick 3 words from that description of who an ultimate parent is. Those words are discover, develop, and deploy. That is the job of a parent. Discover potential, develop potential, deploy potential. Every child is born loaded with potential. The seed owner, God, if you believe in God, if you don't, the creator. I mean, I don't think it's a viable explanation at this point with what we know that the world just exists out of nothing. Okay, so there has to be some force somewhere. For me, it is God, right? For you, it might be something else, but let's go with God. Walk with me. The seed owner, God, has put bountiful potential in the seed. The seed owner, God, then hands the seed, the child, puts them in the hand of the seed handler. Excuse me. And the job of that seed handler is to discover that potential that is loaded, that is in its raw form, right? That may not be necessarily visible to the naked eye because the child arrives on this planet, they're all soft and fuzzy and they're cute, and all they do is eat and poop and keep you awake at night. But even in that form, there is potential loaded in that child. Their job is to discover that potential, develop it. Every single chance they get, every contact they have with that child is about developing that potential. And because resources cannot be wasted, there is a reason for that child's existence. So the parent ensuring that that potential is developed significantly, then releases the child, deploys the child in the direction of the problem they were born to solve. That is who the ultimate parent is. And if you take on the responsibility of becoming a parenting coach, this is what you'll be helping people become. Now, imagine a world where everyone who births a child understands what it takes to discover, develop, and deploy a child. Imagine the kind, just shut your eyes for a second and imagine the kind of world we would be living in, where everybody is functioning at their highest potential, where trauma is to the barest minimum, and we're all manifesting at the highest potential we're capable of, where we're confident, where a person is confident to look at a problem and say, I will solve you. And I will think about the people that I was sent to and pour my heart and soul into this problem. And I'm going to do it without expecting anything in return. Where a child arrives on this planet with the cure to cancer in their minds, and the parents they have been given to is able to discover that. Imagine a world where we can solve every problem, where world hunger is not a thing anymore. It's amazing the kind of resources that humanity has been able to gather up until now, and the kind of things that we have been able to do. And then those kind of successes and achievements are existing at the same time as things like world hunger. Recently, I think 2 or 3 days ago, I think it was yesterday even, there was an earthquake in Myanmar. And now people are trying to raise funds for people who have been affected by earthquakes. They are going to suffer a series of events as a result of. So what if somebody somewhere has been able to figure out how to avoid, buildings crashing from earthquakes? What if? I was watching a video where somebody had designed some tool that would help planes that were supposed to crash. They deploy something under them and they're able to land without crashing. If that goes live and it's available on every aircraft, it means humanity has successfully solved the problem of plane crashes. And it will be something that they used to talk about like smallpox. Imagine if everyone was functioning at that level. That is the work that you are called to do as a parenting coach. So, what are the 4 critical issues that modern day parents are faced with? That if they don't address it, it will be chaos. If they don't deal with it, if they don't have what it takes to deal with it, it will be chaos. I'm just keeping track of the chat. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, thank you. Exactly. So what are those modern day parenting challenges? Number 1, digital distraction and screen time. That is something that parents struggle with. And, as someone whose children are somewhat grown now, when I see younger children, maybe a 1, 2 year old, and I see that they have been placed in front of a screen, I want to grab the screen and I want to sit their parents down and say, why? Why are you doing this to this child? This is not what this child needs at this time. This child's brain is multiplying. The neurons are multiplying. The mind the brain is developing. You need to give this child access to things they can touch, they can feel. They're learning social cues. They're looking at faces. Play with them, laugh with them, take them out, let them experience water, let them feel the wind on their faces. Rather, you're putting a screen that literally keeps the mind dormant, keeps the brain dormant in front of a child whose mind is just, the neurons are just firing, waiting for impulses so that they can build those neural pathways and just, expand capacity even further. When you're watching something, especially something that you're not engaging with, if somebody is just talking at you, right? The mind is dormant, and you're doing that to a baby. So that is something that parents today have to grapple with. A lot of them don't understand what the impact is. Some parents are dealing with, just keeping the child occupied and keeping them busy. Some parents think it's fashionable, right? That's what everybody is doing. But we're creating a dependency for children. And excessive screen time has been linked to all sorts of issues: attention span, sleep disturbances, social isolation amongst children and particularly teenagers. This is linking to mental health, overly aware mental health issues, overdiagnosed mental health issues. Teenagers are reporting social anxiety. They don't want to leave the house. It's just interesting, the world that we're living in. Right now, am I saying screens are bad? I'm talking to you through a screen right now. Thank God for the technology that makes it possible for me to be in my office here and then be able to interact with you in your home. Somebody is in the car, and we're doing all of that real time. But it is for a short window, not 4 hours, 5 hours. Children, young people, teenagers are spending hours. Children are playing games overnight. We have seen it. We are hearing children sitting in one spot. They need something to eat, somebody brings it to them. So there's obesity that is involved. Children are gaining weight that they have no business gaining. Children are dealing with health conditions that were, associated with older people. Children are dealing with all sorts of issues, heart conditions, they're having endocrine issues because they're not even moving. They're stationary and they are just dormant, absorbing things. And let's not talk about the kind of content that is available online, even on games. Recently, there was this issue that was raised with Roblox. Somebody had spent their time. I don't play Roblox, so this is me reporting what I had read. My children don't play it, but somebody had sat with it, and they were seeing things that were inappropriate for children to consume. And children as young as 4, 5 play these games. So they had written to the Congress in America just to drum up, some awareness, putting videos on the internet, take Roblox off the table for your children. Stop exposing them to it. We're seeing a lot of issues as a result of screens and digital distractions and social media. I mean, that one can take me another hour to unpack the impact of social media on children, where children are tying their self-esteem to what one random individual on the internet says. And it's not to blame the child. Their brains are not fully developed yet. So you can't expect them to read that and go, that's not true. I don't believe that. I don't believe that about myself. It affects them because it is, to them, it is reality. Let's move on to the next problem children and parents are facing today. Mental health awareness. There's a growing awareness of mental health issues affecting children and teenagers, including anxiety, depression, and stress. A lot of parents don't know what to do when they discover it. They're like, what do you mean you're depressed? Get up and just, shake it off, right? And I mentioned the overdiagnosis. So somebody is just having a bad day, and then they turn it into into a ministry, and they sit with it and they internalize it, and they decide that they're depressed. I was having a session with a teenager, and this young child she was certain that she was depressed. All right, how did you come to this conclusion? Oh, well, sometimes I just feel bad. Well, my dear, we all feel sad every now and again. Sometimes things happen. She said, yeah, somebody said something. And it just turns out that she was just, having a bad day. A series of bad days, if you will. But it was not clinical depression. It was not anything I diagnosed. But because she was aware of it, she just settled and stayed with it and held on to that thought until she believed she was actually depressed. On the flip side, there are children that are suffering depression that their parents have no idea how to approach it. They don't know what to do. They don't know to get professional help. And then if we bring religious people into the fold, they're praying it away. They're praying clinical depression away. Sometimes some people are born with chemical imbalances in their brains that affects how their moods work, right? That person needs medical treatment. But the parent is praying it away. I was in a meeting yesterday, and the person who spoke said this year alone that she's aware of 3 teenagers who are taking their lives. Why is a teenager taking their life? It might have been related to depression. And perhaps they didn't feel heard, they didn't feel seen. They probably said it again and again to their parents, but they didn't take it seriously. They did not know what to do with it. So that's another challenge that parents today are grappling with. Next, there's work-life integration. And this is something we all need to find the balance with, isn't it? Parents are overwhelmed because they don't have structures. They don't have systems in place. So when we say spend quality time with your child, what they hear is, so I shouldn't go to work, right? And even when they are there, they are not present. So rather than having that time, have the time they're spending with the child indeed be quality time, it's just quantity. Yes, you are with them for 2 hours, but what kind of interaction did you have? What kind of questions did you ask? What kind of listening were you doing? Do you have rituals and routines that help you, touch base with that child every so often, imparting and then taking away, where you're able to get into their world and get into their mind, having those, appropriate questioning skills. And when you just need to shut up respectfully and listen and let these young people, these children and these teenagers just pour out their hearts so that you can get to know what's going on. Right? When a parent doesn't have those skills, when they don't have that toolkit, then they will struggle because people need to work. People need to support their families. And except there's somewhere money is being handed out, it still needs to be an exchange of value. You need to give something, time, skill, objects to sell, and then get value in return, right? So that is a part of life, but you cannot exclude it from living your life as a parent, because you know what? That child is not waiting for you to get it all together. That child is not waiting. That relationship, that parenting relationship is not waiting for you to have $1 billion in the bank. The child is growing, you are working. How do you integrate both? How do you fuse them together and make the most of that 18-year window that we talked about? And finally, number 4, scripting a child for success. Think back to when I said if a child was handed off to a terrorist cell, that is scripting. And like I said, I don't think they're nice. I don't think they rub their heads. I don't think they tuck them into sleep or read them a bedtime story. They have a structure. They learn this and then they do this and then they do that and they get the results. What are parents doing? Parents are struggling with the best templates to help their children succeed at different stages, especially educationally, especially in life. Helping that raw potential find expression. Parents are struggling with that. Okay, so those are the 4 things that parents are dealing with that you will be helping with and you will be taught how to support with. An African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. It does indeed. It does indeed. And in this world, the village is now including online aunties and uncles and neighbors because, the world has evolved from just the people who are in close proximity. So you want to curate that access. What does the child come in contact with at every point in time? So why are parenting coaches becoming highly sought after? Does anybody want to jump in here? Why do you think parenting coaches are highly sought after? Why should they be sought after? Let's just get a few responses. Oh, you're most welcome. You're welcome. Why do we think parenting coaches need to be available? I've literally answered the question, but I just want you to engage a little bit. Why are they becoming highly sought after? They have knowledge that is not open to all. Absolutely. Parents have realized that they're ill-equipped, brilliant, and it's almost foreign to them. The challenges are all novel. Yes, many don't know what they're supposed to do. Yes, to bridge the knowledge gap. There's a high rate of societal decadence. Yes, they help make the world a better place, a better world with children and parents, to help pattern them to help with their children. Yes, because parents are confused. Developmental trauma is becoming a concern. Many adults are a result. Absolutely. Absolutely. Parents have been raised. Parenting is not easy. Absolutely. I do it every day. I had a meeting just before this, and the person said, was I tired? I said, yes. I've been parenting. I was going through my son's work. He had studied, and I said, bring your notes. Let's see what your study notes look like. Because for me, that's how it shows that you've studied. And I was, asking him questions. And that takes time and effort, right? That takes time and effort. The methods of parenting they are used to are becoming obsolete. Obsolete. Absolutely. Absolutely. They are now at a worse stage to bridge the gap, to bridge the gap. So there's a knowledge gap, there's a skills gap, right? And bear in mind, the parents were not raised by people who were supported with parenting coaches, right? The parents did what they thought was best. There's this question we like to ask: who taught you parenting? And when you drill down, if a parenting coach such as yourself has not stepped on the scene, if the parent has not been exposed to knowledge, if that gap is still as wide as ever, you find that a parent is parenting in 2025 like somebody who lived in the 1800s, because they've just passed it down. They've passed it down with the trauma. They've passed the village intelligence. They've passed the, ignorant cultural positions. They've passed all of them down. And then somebody takes it up today and says funny things like, oh, my parents did all right. Well, when my parents raised me, yes, they were not, they beat me or they did whatever, but I turned out okay. How? How can you possibly? How can you possibly turn out okay when what you've done is just intergenerational trauma? That's it. Exactly. They don't understand modern day parenting. You're talking about depression, for instance, they're like, what? Just sway to one side. Let me deal with important things. They don't understand hurt that is not when a wound is not is not broken, right? When the skin is not broken or bleeding, they're just looking at the child that, what do you mean you're sad? Why are you sad? I mean, I buy you everything you want. And this child is crying for attention. This child just wants you to see them. The only time the child hears your voice is when they've done something wrong. So the child is constantly in a state where they are critical of themselves. That is where we come in as parenting coaches. Well done, everybody. Thank you so much for that. So why are parenting coaches sought after? I still need to tell you what's on my slides, although you've answered the question, but I still need to tell you what is on my slide. Digital literacy strategy. Like I said, the internet is not the problem. The device is not the problem. It's how you use it. Is how you use it. I don't know if he's still one of the richest young people in the world. And I'm not suggesting that being rich means everything is all right, but this young boy has done very well for himself. So it's this young chap used to unbox toys on YouTube. And at some point, I've not checked recently, he had the largest following of people at that age, right? He would unbox a toy and people would watch and YouTube would pay him loads and loads of money. I imagine his parents are retired. If only my children discovered that, I would have been happily retired and be doing this just out of the generosity of my heart, not because I need to work. There'll be so many things I'll be doing right now. And it's including being on a yacht somewhere, just cruising, just chilling and dipping into things that are passionate for me like this, right? But this young boy used YouTube to gather so much wealth, all right, such that when companies created new toys, they will send it to him. Because once he has unboxed it, he then had influence. Before the influencer thing became a thing, this boy had it all worked out, had it figured out. And all he did was open toys. So people would find out that people noticed that if he unboxed a toy, this toy would sell out because there were a lot of eyes on his video. So that's one of the tools of social media, one of the useful things. YouTube is also a university. You can learn just about anything on YouTube. All you need to do is invest your data and invest your time, and you can pick up pretty much any skill. So the device is not the problem. The platform is not the problem. It is how it is used. Parenting coaches can provide guidance on setting healthy boundaries, fostering digital literacy, and creating a balanced approach to technology use in the family. So when we're creating a digital literacy strategy, for instance, we would say something like, you don't put a device in the hand of a child without coaching them on what they can do on the internet and what they can't do, without ensuring that the child has gathered enough capacity to say, I'm going to be on this thing for 2 hours. And once I'm done with it, I'm going to set it aside. You don't put a device, especially access to internet, in the hand of a child who has not developed that ability for restraint, right? And if you do, then you don't walk away. You are in the neighborhood. Say they need to do homework, right? Because that ability comes with age, doesn't it? Say the child needs to do homework. You need to ensure that it is the homework they're doing and they are not wondering, because they are curious, and it's okay to be curious. Okay. So those are some of the things that will come to mind. Putting that structure in place, putting that framework in place to say, you have this on loan. It does not belong to you. It belongs to us, but that's your parents, but we have given it to you for a certain window and you hand it in at a certain time. If a child is not able to manage that, then you want to ensure they're using the family computer. They don't have a handheld device until they have that in check and under control. So a parenting coach will support in creating that digital literacy strategy. Number two, a parenting coach would help to customize parenting strategies. People say things like, all children are not the same. Absolutely. Parenting, you can't, some people say things like, people that teach parenting forget that you can do just about anything and the child will turn out the way they want to turn out. I consider that a cop-out. If a terrorist can script a child, you can script your child. But you need to understand the uniqueness of that child. You need to learn their personality. You need to check yourself and ask yourself if there's a skills gap in place as well. Do I know how to communicate with such a child? What do I need to learn? How do I regulate myself emotionally, right? So, understanding that every child and every family is unique, a one size fits all parenting idea will fall short. Parenting coaches can offer personalized guidance tailored to the specific needs, values, and dynamics of each family. All right. It is important to understand that and support parents in their own unique circumstances. Sit with them, run the assessments, and do the work with them to create what works for them. Because everybody's on a different journey. Somebody is raising a Beyonce, another person is raising a, Messi, right? They can't do the same thing. The skills they need to succeed in those areas are vastly different. And if somebody's child has a tendency to become a Beyonce, but in their minds they are thinking it will be faster to break even in a football career, you as the parenting coach can help them understand that the personality of this person or this child is different. The skill sets they have is different. The innate potential they have is different. So perhaps let's not make a fish fly. Know your child and raise your child to become the best version of themselves. Number 3, strengthening family relationships. Families are in crisis. And parenting coaches can enhance in creating and enhancing communication, resolving conflicts, and building deeper connections between family members. All right, to ensure that that parenting is predicated on relationship. Because when the relationship is missing and a parent is trying to impose and enforce rules, it's only a matter of time before rebellion shows up on the scene. And parents can't deal with rebellion. Even though they have created the environment for it to flourish. They don't understand that relationship. So parenting coaches can help, create that positive communication environment, that conditioning. They're able to manage conflicts. They're able to build connections that would outlast the critical 18-year period. Think about a child and a parent becoming parents at the same time. If everything goes well and everybody has a long and healthy life, right? You're going to be in business at the same time as your child, as a parent, right? Your child is going to have their own children where you are a parent to them and they are parenting their own children. What kind of conversations do you want to be having? Because something parents are working towards in this age that I see in my interaction with parents is, look, you're caught in a situation where the child would delete your number when they don't need your money anymore. A lot of parents think, oh, I'm funding their life. A time can come, and earning today has been so democratized that a person can put the most meaningless thing on TikTok and they start making a whole lot of money. Right? So if the only hold a parent has on a child is, if you don't do what I want, I won't pay for. If that child can fund it, then what happens? If the child does not need you to buy their phone, does not even need you to buy them a car or buy them a house, because people are making money for doing the most meaningless things, meaningless to me, obviously, but meaningful to somebody somewhere, because views are now translated to money. So somebody puts a video, there's this really ridiculous video that somebody showed me. Somebody will put their face in the toilet. I think there's a name for it. I don't know if you've come across it. And he'll just make funny sounds. And this guy has loads and loads of followers on YouTube. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But that person gets a check every month for doing what? So that is how easy it is to make money in this day and age. So if the relationship is missing, if all a parent has to lay hold on is, oh, I'm their source of sustenance. If that goes away, what is left behind? You can help strengthen those family relationships. Number 4, empowering parents with confidence. Sometimes parents have a lot of self-doubt. They're unsure of themselves. Oh, should I be firm? Should I be gentle? I mean, the other day I had to do a video on gentle parenting because I didn't even like the bad rap it was getting. People thought gentle parenting meant permissive parenting, where you can't put your foot down and say, no, this is what we are going to do. This is who we are and this is how we behave here, right? Obviously, on a foundation of relationship. But a lot of parents don't have that confidence. They are confused. They are overwhelmed. That work-life balance is missing. Parenting coaches can empower parents by validating their experiences, telling them, look, what you want for your child is not abnormal. You want your child to have a sense of self, a sense of identity. That is okay. I'm going to hold your hand for you to get the outcome that you desire. And parenting coaches don't just, we don't use native intelligence. We use evidence-based advice. We use recommendations that are based on data. All right. The work that we do is data driven. And by so doing, we're able to support parents and boost their confidence in their parenting choices. It's not abnormal for you to want your child to achieve the highest grades in the class. It's not abnormal. It is how you go about it. Except you are telling the child, look, if you don't come home with that high grade, then you're no longer important to me. That is where the problem is. But if you're teaching a child to push themselves and to work harder, to show some resilience when they fall down to pick themselves up, and you're teaching them a growth mindset to say, look, you should aspire to more. You are capable of so much more. I'm here if you need me. That's not abnormal. But sometimes you come across parents who they don't want to rock the boat. They just want the child to just have a chill, relax. They don't want to do anything. That's okay. I don't subscribe to that. So if you meet a parent who feels, look, I think my child should be doing more, but I don't know how to get them to do more, you can help them achieve that outcome. All right. All right. Let's move on. So look at this screen. We touched on this earlier. Look at the screen. The images on the screen, what does it provoke? Are you feeling all warm and fuzzy inside? If you don't know who they are, that is Joseph Stalin. That is what's that gentleman from Germany? That is Bin Laden, obviously, and the gentleman from Adolf Hitler. That's the guy from South Korea, is in North Korea, their dictator, and that's Idi Amin Dada there. People raised these people. They all had parents from all these people had parents from homes. Absolutely, Mr. Victor. They were raised in a home by somebody. Somebody delivered them to society. And that's why I said earlier, what a parent does or does not do can impact generations. I was watching the Holocaust Memorial the other day. Because Adolf Hitler existed at a period in time, whatever years ago, there are people who are still suffering the trauma of those camps that he put human beings in and facilitated the death of 6,000 or more Jews because one guy existed, right? Because he lived. That happened. The decisions and the choices he made are still being felt. America has not fully recovered from Mr. Bin Laden, from what he did, from how he arranged 9/11 and families that lost people on those flights. I mean, if they saw Bin Laden, they would probably have a certain reaction, right? So, like one of us said, they were raised in homes. What parenting system engineered these people? If their parents perhaps had the blessing of having access to you, would their outcomes have been different? What do you think? Would the outcomes have been different? Do you think you would have been able to support them to probably put a little bit more compassion in Mr. Adolf Hitler? Maybe Osama bin Laden's brainwashing will not have occurred, such that he was able to then brainwash other people to hijack the planes and then all the other atrocities that they've committed. Maybe, perhaps, their parents would have different results if they had access to you. Now we have another set of individuals on the screen, right? Your iPhone, your Mac, is because somebody dared. Mr. Steve Jobs. We didn't have him for so long, right? But because he decided, look, I mean, I'm using a Windows laptop right now. Because Mr. Bill Gates said, look, I'm just going to pour my heart and soul into this solution. And I'm going to make it available to as many people that want it. Microsoft is like water now. It is the foundation, even if your product doesn't have Microsoft on it. The chips and the tools, the building blocks of those systems, and the foundation of the work that he has done is why we have the quality of life that we have now. Mr. Mandela, all that he stands for and all he represents. Winston Churchill, right? And then Mark Zuckerberg, who is more of a contemporary, isn't it? Is in more recent times, creating Facebook and then breaking things wide open in the world of social media. What systems engineered these people as well? For them to give their lives to causes, right? For them to show up. I mean, the sacrifice of Nelson Mandela. What family system? Now, ask yourself, if you as a parenting coach was able to contribute to their successes, how would you feel? How high would your shoulders be raised if you were able to contribute to the outcomes? If their parents could say, thank you for your help. You helped us tell Mark that he can live for something that is bigger than himself. For him to dare to dream and to look at something that did not exist before and say, I can build that. I can create that solution. And the philanthropy work that Bill Gates does now, for his parents to be able to say to you, thank you. We were able to teach him to live for something more than himself, to use his resources to build. I mean, the man supports continents, he supports countries. One guy. In Nigeria, it's reported that he eradicated polio. One guy. In a country of 200 people, 200 million people. Yeah? Think about it. You've been walking on air. I love it. I love it. 6 million. Thank you. 6 million, not 6,000. 6 million Jews. Hitler was not a gentleman. I completely agree with you. He was not a gentleman at all. 6 million Jews. Yes, I'd be walking on air along with you if some work that I did, some support, maybe they start with me for a session, maybe I did 6 weeks with them, I supported them, and these people are proof that these levels of achievement are possible. They are younger. There's a young lady now who was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. If you know her name, please pop it on the chat for me. Zuriel Oduwole, I believe. I'm unsure of the work that she's done, but she's in what, her 20s? Somebody raised that young lady. If they had you and they were able to get that outcome, how proud, how grateful would you be that you have been able to contribute to society? Because again, the same way Hitler's actions and choices have impacted generations, we don't know. The children that we're raising today, we don't know what they can do. If they look back and we are somewhere on the family tree, right, in the generation, the genealogy, and we are what? They are 6th generation. Maybe people that have passed through us, maybe they will be doing amazing things in the future that is to come. That is to paint a picture for us. So let's talk about coaching a little bit. Obviously, this is a parenting coaching certification course. Let's talk about coaching. The International Coaching Federation defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. So that's coaching as a whole. All right. So let's drill down now into parenting coaching. Parenting coaching, therefore, is partnering with parents in a thought-provoking and creative process using cutting-edge methodology that inspires them to maximize their parenting potential. It's a partnership to create a world that is safe for all. So that is your career view in a nutshell. That is the work that you will be doing. The coaching process is basically first creating rapport, developing that relationship, right? And then, per the IFED framework, you would administer an assessment. Our work is data driven. So it is not for you to look at the child and say, I know exactly what's going on. Usually when children behave like this is because of that. That's assumptions, yeah? And assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. Sometimes we have biases in place that we're not even aware of, okay? There's conscious bias, there's unconscious bias, and the assumptions. And then we see things that mirror something that we read or we saw somewhere, and we then just go to town and say, oh, that must be it, right? No, we don't work like that, right? We do a series of assessments and we use that information to understand the root cause, right? Then we review the reports that you've created and then establish mutually agreed upon goals. So in the world of coaching, the outcome is the client dependent. What are they willing to do? Right? So for you as a coach, you're bringing your expertise to the table, you're bringing your wealth of experience, you're bringing your knowledge to the table. They then need to carry out the activity. So you attend the sessions, you ask the important questions, you then agree on goals and objectives that they then now need to work on to get the outcome that they desire. You establish and develop an implementation plan and framework that can deliver the success that they desire. But like I said, it must be clear to them that they are going to need to put some effort. They're going to need to put effort into getting the outcomes that they want. Do you have a professional framework that you use at the moment, or are you using native intelligence? Native intelligence is cultural intelligence, where if you apply it in different parts of the world, it will not hold up. It will not stand up to what is true, what is honest, what is viable, right? In a certain culture, you use something and it's just suitable. Once you step out of that culture, it's not applicable anymore. Right? That is what we describe as native intelligence. Or are you using an obsolete model? Like we said earlier, is it a model that's been handed out from generation to generation? I mean, something started off by somebody who never saw a computer, who never went to school, right? Who probably didn't even experience electricity. And then they pass on that raw material down to you, and then you want to deploy that in 2025. It's not going to work. All right. So the family system engineering and parenting coaching framework, we're coming down to what is on offer now, is a 12-week class where you will learn the fundamentals of modern parenting. You will learn how to run effective assessments to accurately diagnose cases. You would learn how to creatively put together a fail-proof intervention structure that will help parents succeed. You will run therapy and strategies that will help you win sabotaging cases, and you would also come away with becoming a part of a supporting community that will help you earn as a professional, right? This work is work that pays. It's not something that you are expected to do without returns, right? You're going to be giving value and you will be receiving value in return. So what is our model? Let me just pause here before I go into this. Are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Let me have a look at the chat. Yes, Malala did receive a Nobel Peace Prize. The slide of the meaning of coaching. Brilliant. Okay. I'll go back to that. So this is not ICF recognized. What you can do is then get ICF certified after. Okay, after going through this program, you can then get ICF certified. Notice that this is drilled down into parenting. So it is not, ICF does not do parenting coaching. Okay, ICF does not do parenting coaching. So you can then get ICF certified after you engage with this. All right. Okay, so let's go back to the yes, it is a paid course. Oluwa Bukola, it is a paid course. Right. Definition of coaching. If this is what you meant, this is it. If you're taking a screenshot, please do so. We're getting close to the end of the presentation, and I like to stay on time. I try my best to stay on time because I think it's respectful of your time as well. So, all right. I hope you've got that. All right. So let's look at the model that we run at IFED, right? First, you go through the coaching framework for parental origin. Sorry, there's something in the chat. Yes, you're welcome, Rukoya. Sorry, apologies. I know there are different ways of pronouncing Arabic names, and I'm trying to learn, so I apologize. All right, so first you learn the coaching framework for parental origin and instincts. Then you go through the foundations for inner child healing and healing past wounds. The person who gave the testimonial mentioned that. And this is a really critical bit because this is where you interrupt that cycle. All right. Because you can learn all of this and still not be able to deploy it if you've not gone through that healing. So it's critical for you to go through that healing process, healing your inner child, and then you can create a somewhat clean slate to begin to work from. Clears your mind, helps you articulate the things that you've been through, helps you drill down on that trauma and then heal from it. And then it gives you the tools to continue to heal because healing is not a once and done process. Yeah. Next, you go through effective communication and emotional management. Then you take a course in personality identification and behavioral management. Then you examine technology use, discipline, and time management. Then you learn co-parenting dynamics, stress management, and long-term strategies. Then you take a class in the business of coaching. And finally, an intervention plan, structure, reframing techniques, and boundary management. All of these that I mentioned are different classes that you would go through on this program. Okay. You would have, I think, a 2-hour class every week. Like this, we said it's 2 weeks. It's 12 weeks. And then you would have a coach teach you some of these things. And then you would, create, you would muted. Why am I muted? Can you hear me, please? Let me double check that. Okay, I think my mic is on now. Awesome. So you will go through all of this. You would have home plays that you would explore so that the learning can be perfectly situated. All right. So this, all right. There's quite a lot in the chat. Let me go through that before we move on. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you all so much. Fabulous. Thank you. Uh-oh. Resume. All right. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. Okay. So let's look at the parenting coaching results model, right? Like we said, you run comprehensive assessments to accurately diagnose the real issues. You run a debrief session, we like to call it, a review session to clarify any challenges the clients may have with the professional report. Sometimes you could encounter someone who says, fantastic. I couldn't articulate it, right? How did you know? That's something that we hear a lot of. How did you know this exactly? I didn't tell you this. How did you find this out? And sometimes it might require some clarification. Perhaps they've misinterpreted the questions and you just need to help them make sense of the report, all right? And just clarify things. Yeah. And then you run a parenting compass assessments, results, coaching session. Those are the 12. I'm sorry, depending on the situation. I like to do first, I do 6 sessions with the client or with the child. If it's a teen coaching or child coaching session, I do 6, then we do a review, then I do another 6. So it's a bulk 12, but we put a gap in the 6-week course. But it depends on what you have decided to do and what is appropriate for that case. So data has consistently shown that at the root of many parenting issues are 1, unhealed trauma, ignorance of behavioral management for the parent and the child, ignorance of personalities and attachment styles, and ignorance of parenting patterns, often powered by beliefs. That native intelligence that I talked about. All right. So those are the things that you will learn in the course. And our ultimate goal is to produce the most competent family life professionals that humanity deserves and to assist them to become highly profitable across the globe. I practice in the UK. I have colleagues in America. I have a lot of colleagues in the UK, obviously, but I have colleagues in America. We have colleagues in South America, people who deploy this model and get similar results. So it's not a case of, oh, it's just Africa based or it is situation or location dependent. No, the model works across the globe. And our goal is to help you achieve that state of competency that you can successfully diagnose and resolve cases anywhere that you live in the world and also earn in those currencies. Okay, so it is highly profitable work. And somebody who asked earlier, yes, you're paying for it and you're paying for it to get value in return. What are the commitments that we expect from you? What do we expect from you should you choose to take this course? 60% compulsory attendance in class. The classes are virtual, so it's not like you need to show up somewhere in some location, somewhere in the world. You need to attend virtual classes, at least 60% attendance. You need to submit the compulsory home plays. Like I said, after every class, you'll be given home plays. Some of them are compulsory and you need to ensure that you complete them and turn them in. These are requirements for graduation. Okay, graduation as an associate coach will follow the 60% attendance and the home place, right? And if you want to go further to become a certified parenting coach, so an associate coach is just a step below a fully certified coach, right? You will then need to you would have field work. I believe this is right. Admin, feel free to jump in. You would have field work. You need to complete a certain number of hours. I did my certification a long time ago, so forgive me if I don't have the current and I don't want to give you a certain number and then you say, oh, Coach Deshala said we're only going to do 150 hours. So why are you asking me to do 250? So I'm not going to mention any number. You then need to do that work, fulfilling the conditions of your certification. You need to appear for a defense, right? We want to be sure that if you're going to go out there and carry the IFED certification tag, we know exactly what you're able to deliver. So you'll be in front of a panel, you will need to defend the work that you've done. You might be asked a few questions, and then afterwards you become a fully certified parenting coach. Now, somebody might be thinking, can I work and earn as an associate coach? Absolutely. Absolutely. The last cohort, I don't know if they've all graduated now, but everything that will be taught, you will all learn. All right. The only additional step is those conditions for certification that will be made clear to you, and then the defense step, right? That's when you can say you are a certified coach. But as an associate coach, you would have learned the skills, you would have all the tools, you would have gone through all the classes, you'd have gone through all the case studies, you'd have built that confidence, right? For you to show up as a coach and begin to solve problems that parents are facing today. All right. The parenting coach is the bridge between parents and the tools they need to guide their children through the challenges of family life with confidence and connection. So, who are your clientele? What client base do you have? Families, obviously, right? That's where the children are, that's where the parents are. So, families are your constituency. Government agencies, they will need your expertise to understand behavior. They will need your expertise to recognize patterns, to map out occurrences. So something happens, a parent, I practice in the UK, and we get a lot of, especially from African parents, who believe in corporal punishment that is not in alignment with the laws here, right? Especially in Scotland, you're not allowed to hit. In the UK, you can hit, but you can't leave a mark, right? So there are a lot of parents that get into, they have issues with social services, and then the government agency comes to somebody like me and they say, okay, we're mandating this person to talk to somebody. I've had cases of when a child has behaved a certain way in school, and the school has said, go and talk to a parenting coach, let your child go through that process, and then we can admit the child back. So I've had instances like that where I've had sessions with the parents, and parents have shown that evidence to the schools, right? Or the agencies to say, okay, we've sought help, we now know better. Can you give us another chance? So it's like a stopgap. So if the issue is not too serious, they might recommend that. It's not the court mandated type, but if it is in a school setting, if it is like social services, they might say, look, show us that you're taking active steps, all right, to remedy the situation. You're picking up new skills, right, to remedy the situation. And sometimes they encounter instances that they don't quite understand, and they need somebody to unpack it to say, okay, this appears to be a cultural issue. Help us understand it. And that's where you can come in to say, oh, yes, this is something that we do culturally. I'm trying to look for an example, maybe piercing the ears. They pierce ears here as well. There are a few things that are culturally normal to us, in some cases in the African space, that is not familiar with them. So they might just reach out and say, okay, help us understand this. So that's part of where you can come in. And then in the place of policy, when you have enough influence, then you have a seat at the table. And when decisions are being made where children and families and parents are concerned, then you have a voice. All right. So that's another role that you can play in the place of policy. And then religious organizations might need somebody to come talk to parents, sensitize them about something. This current movie that's trending, adolescents, a lot of parents are trying to wrap their heads around it, and I'm just seeing fear, and I'm like, look, you can't parent with fear. If you parent with fear, you will make mistakes. All right. How about strategy? How about trying to get that relationship? If that is where the issue is, how about recognizing that there is a gap and then doing what is necessary to bridge it? My encouragement to you is for you to sign up today to become a highly paid parenting coach / strategist. The next cohort starts in October. So I'm going to leave the offers on the screen for you now, for you to have a look. If there are any questions, pop them in the chat for us so that we can begin to answer them. The class costs 350,000 naira, a one-time payment of 300,000, and payments in installments of 330k. So that means that the cost of the class is 350, right? If you're paying once and for all, you get a discount of 50k, and if you're paying in installments, you get to pay 330k. So there's a discount either way, whichever one you choose to do. If you're going to sign up in the class right here, right now, you will pay, you can pay 300,000, okay? If you will pay up the rest by April 2nd. So that is the condition to that one-time payment. If you're going to pay right now, you need to know that you'll pay the balance by April 2nd, yeah? And if you make an 85,000 naira deposit, you can lock in that 300k offer. I hope we understand it. If you make an 85,000 naira deposit now, you can lock in that 300,000 discounted offer. Condition being that you will pay up in full by the 2nd of April, because class starts on April 23rd. Admin, can you clarify that for me? Because I had October on the previous slide. So is there a cohort starting on the 23rd of April? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, please.
Okay, so ignore that October. The next cohort starts on the 23rd of April. And if you pay 85,000 today, right here, right now, you can lock in that 300,000 offer. Okay? So that's better than the initial one-time payment and all. Okay? So you still save that 50,000 naira, but you can lock down that 300K now. So I'm going to go to the chat now and try to see if we have any questions. Right, after April, the next one will be October. So October is still there. Right, so you're defending your field work. Thank you, admin. Next. Defense is virtual. Absolutely. Okay, there we go. All the classes are virtual. All right, so the fees in dollars are on the screen. I'm sorry, in the chat box as well. So you can pay in dollars. I'm sure there's a link. Yes, there is a link. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, so we can start making our decisions now. Who is signing up now? If you're signing up now, can you put yes in the chat for me? If you're signing up now, put yes in the chat. Yes, fantastic. Welcome, Kemi. I look forward to seeing you in class. I look forward to seeing you in class, Bukola. Amazing. The world is about to get a shake-up. Fantastic. Wonderful, Lulu. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This is exciting. Yes, Foluke, welcome, welcome. Number of sessions per week. It is one session per week. It's one session per week. That I can clarify. I'm going to let admin take the rest of the questions. You'll find out what day it is. Please, what day of the week is it and the time? There's so many things I'm juggling. I don't even know. Thank God. Thank God for digital calendars. It is a lot to keep track of. Admin will confirm Wednesdays at 7 p.m. There you go. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West African time. That's important. Right. Question about defense. Amount in rand. Can you convert the dollars? Lara, are you able to convert the dollars? I could do that for you. Right. I'm going to convert it in dollars for you. Sorry, in rand. So, no, that doesn't look right. Okay. So that's 3,594 rands. 300,000 in naira is 3,594 rands. Okay, I hope that helps. Right. If you want to join in October, if you copy the link and then, so if you go up in the chat box, there's an email there. So I'd start with sending an email just to book your slot. But if you're starting in October, I would say make your payment now. I would recommend that. If you make your payment now, it would lock down that October cohort for you. Okay? Fantastic. Thank you all so very much. Most appreciated spending this time with you. And I look forward to seeing everyone in class. You have the most outstanding. Yes, Caroline is joining. Amazing. The most outstanding coaches that will be working with you on this journey. Right? And I look forward to seeing you all in class. All right. If you're still thinking about it, think quickly. Think quickly, okay? All right. I'm handing over back to Super O. Is she still here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes,
I'm
I
handing
am.
over back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ma. There's honey in your voice. That's all I want to say. Real honey, natural, real, not undiluted honey. Thank you so much for this session. If you agree with me, just use the chat box to signify or to attest to what I have just said. Thank you so much, thank you so much, Ma, for the value. Thank you so much for your time. That's just a tip of the iceberg of what you are going to witness or experience. So now is the time. Don't wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow might be too late, you know. Tomorrow might be now. Just go ahead and make the deposit now. And I mean now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We are glad to have you join us. And don't forget, the offer expires in 72 hours. In 72 hours. So please go ahead and just make the payment. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So I hope to see you